Hi guys, please support me through PayPal to devinwyndham@gmail.com. devinwyndham@gmail.com is one word, all lowercase. I'll repeat my PayPal contact info in the comments. Your support helps me make more and better content. And please subscribe to my channel. All right, let's do this exercise at the bottom. Forget the stuff on top. Suppose t is a real, b is an integer, and the sine of t is 1 over root 5. What is sine squared of 2t minus b pi? All right, pause the video, try it on your own. All right, here's my solution. Notice I use printer paper for math because if you use lined paper, or also known as ruled paper, I find those lines get in the way. All right. Here's the given expression that I repeat, sine squared 2t minus b pi. In mathematics, I really think understanding is more important than memorizing, so I tend to go slow. I think I'm good at math, and I think for me, the reason I think I'm good is that I try to understand my way through math rather than memorize my way through math. So in light of the, that's understanding, that I think understanding is important, I tend to go slow and write out steps, so I'm sure my brain is understanding. So I just unpack what this 2 means. It means this whole thing is squared. So I have the sine of 2t minus b pi squared. And then in the spirit of understanding, I like to think about what I'm doing. So b is an integer, we're subtracting pi from this argument. An input is called an argument. So 2t minus b pi is the argument. Notice we're subtracting b pi from it. Since sine is periodic, if you understand the sine function, the unit circle, when you subtract multiples of pi, you're just going to change the sign, no pun intended. You might change the sign of sine, but you won't harm it otherwise. Since we're squaring it, the sign matters not. Whether sine is positive or negative matters not. So I can just remove this guy. So that took some thought, and that's what I mean by thinking is more important than memorizing. And it took me some time to learn that. I used to emphasize understanding less and memorizing more, and I just hit a roadblock in my math abilities. And when I switched that and emphasized understanding more and memorizing less, I began to get better at math. So, that might work for you too, to emphasize understanding, de-emphasize memory. All right, so that's, that was understanding is key to get from there to there. I mean, I guess you could always try to memorize your way through math by memorizing a ton of formulas, but it just doesn't work as well, and plus it's not fun. Bob Ross had this painting show where he says you should enjoy yourself painting. I also think you should enjoy yourself in math. And for me, that comes with understanding. So this step was just key. Like, it comes from understanding how we can just eschew this minus b pi. All right, again, from understanding 2t, again, I could throw a lot of trig identities at you, but I sort of don't even know them. Because I try to emphasize understanding, I don't really memorize a lot. I just sort of drive everything, basically. So I'm just going to unpack 2t. Multiplication is a shorthand for addition, so I can write it more like this. And this looks more like an identity that, unfortunately, this identity we've memorized, I guess. I've proved it to myself, but it's really hard to prove. So you may just have to content yourself to memorize, like, I'm going to use this famous sum identity of sine of a plus b. Try to prove that. It's hard, but try. You know what I mean. That sine of a plus b is sine a cosine b plus cosine a sine b. All right, so we're going to use that here. So using this sum identity, notice what I do to that, right? I get sine t cosine t plus cosine t sine t squared. Then again, using the fact that multiplication is shorthand for addition, I can rewrite that like this. And then I wanted to, cosine just popped up. We were given something about sine. So again, I like to understand that understanding helps with pictures, so I'm sort of going to understand my way with pictures to get like a cosine value. So we know sine is positive, so it's, it's in quadrant 1 or 2. I picked 2, so it's, just because 1 is like really special. So I picked 2. The sine, so it's 1 over root 5, so I can label this 1, label this root 5. I don't know this, so I just call it a. We'll use the Pythagorean theorem to find length a. So the Pythagorean theorem tells us that a squared plus 1 squared equals root 5 squared, which is equivalent to, this is a nice symbol. Double arrow means it's equivalent to. So we have a squared plus 1 equals 5, which is equivalent to a squared equals 4, which is equivalent to a equals root 2. All right, so we know that cosine is plus or minus 2 over root 5. But, since we're squaring here, we don't have to worry about whether cosine is plus or minus. Again, notice I'm thinking my way through. I had to think to come up with that. I don't have to worry about the sign because I'm squaring. So just put in 2 over root 5. And plug in our value for sine, keep the 2, keep that. There's the 2. Oh, okay, I made a mistake. That's another thing I learned with math, proofread your work. So these 2 should not have canceled, right? These 2 should not have canceled because they're both in the numerator. We squared. Oh, another thing, I know I can't erase because I'm using a pen, but I still prefer pens over pencils. Pencils for me are just too scratchy and annoying, so I still prefer pens, ballpoint pens for math to make it fun. All right, so this is going to be 4. Let me correct this. 4 over 5 squared, so the final answer is going to be 16 over 25. All right, please subscribe to my channel. See you in another video, and please support me through PayPal.